Hey, it's Bram Duffee with Speech Class. Today we're talking about methods of delivery with chapter 17. You know, just the idea of standing up in front of a crowd can give us butterflies. And I don't mean the ones that you chased when you were younger, but here's the thing. Those jitters before you step on stage, that's just the opening act. When we chat with friends, we're not reading off a script like robots, right? Our hands move, our voices rise and fall, and there's a natural kind of speech that flows. And giving a speech is a lot like that. It's not just winging it. So both the words that we say and the way that we stand or interact, all of that stuff matters. And for it to come off natural, it has to be practiced. So think about it like a dance routine. You wouldn't just freestyle a recital. You practice those smooth moves. So let's dive into some key areas so that we can totally rock the speech. Okay, so first we have effective delivery. So picture this. You're using your voice and your body just like a conductor of an orchestra. You want to hit the right notes, and that way it sounds like you being pumped about your topic, showing you've got this, and talking to the right audience. So back in the day, like 100 years ago, speakers would get all dramatic, like, on stage at a Shakespeare play, and that was called elocutionary movement. But fast forward to now, and what do we do with audiences? Well, they like it straight from the heart, like when you're telling a story around a campfire. And so the real secret sauce to that kind of natural speaking is to rehearse it all out. Rehearse. So what's up with enthusiasm? It's like the genuineness that can come with wanting to share a message. And I want you to imagine that you're excited about your favorite video game or a movie that you just saw that you just can't stop thinking about. That's excitement. It's catching, and it's something that can be used to your benefit during a presentation. It's like laughing and interacting in it with a room full of friends. And folks want to listen to that buzz. They get hooked. They want to be right there with you. And so part of that is confidence. It's a big one. It's like believing in your message and making everything else follow. And it's not about memorizing every word. It's about taking sparks of ideas and putting them into your audience. And that way you're lighting up their minds too, and they're following along with you. And so to do that, I just going to have to tell you that part of this is that you have to not stress about how you look or how you sound and focus on connecting. Having this confidence, I know we spoke about communication apprehension already earlier when we started the class about some ways that you can use your body to get through presentations, but there is something that helps confidence called the Superman pose. And the Superman pose is just you standing with your feet apart and putting your hands on your hips. And if you ever feel like you're at a point where you don't feel confident, it doesn't even have to be in front of a audience giving a speech. Anytime you feel that way, you can do what's called the Superman pose, where you stand firm with your legs apart and put your hands on your hips. And you'll be very surprised to see what kind of confidence booster that builds in, that gives you. So that's one thing. Being direct is another. So we want to use our eyes to connect with people, and not on the floor, not on the ceiling, not staring at the back of the room. We want to connect with people that are actually there. And how do you get all this done? Well, you have to pick your style. And so there's 4 different ways to go about it. There's ways that are described by your book in chapter 7. I'm sorry, in chapter 17, like extemporaneous speaking, which is my preferred method for our class, but also impromptu or reading from a manuscript. And the thing about it is that you might need to read from a manuscript if you're trying to nail every word when precision is really key. But too much reading can take focus off of the message also. You want to eliminate that as a distraction as much as possible so that you can focus and connect with your audience. So when you stop putting your audience at center attention, you break the connection with that audience. So if you can try to find your groove and rehearse what you want to say, that way it gets to feel like second nature. And video yourself as you talk to work these things out. It's not about necessarily critiquing yourself. You hear yourself and know how to do better that the next time and the next time as you practice and listen to yourself. And it's a goal to get through and help the speech process occur naturally, like you're telling a story to a friend. And that's how it works out, so that your voice might change at different times. It can go faster and slower at different times, depending upon how that story goes. And so being appropriate in conversation is about finding that rhythm, and just like it is with finding yourself on stage. And so for someone who's new to public speaking, this is something that's really intimidating, and it's something that almost seems impossible. And the only way that this can work itself out is through that practice. All right. So to get familiar with your speech means that it's going to allow you to look down from time to time and think about those notes as a magnifying glass, so that you're using large font with extra spacing so you can look down and read and find things easily. Even if it falls, or you have a wind blowing your paper, right? You'd still be able to see it. And for those big moments, I want you to consider going bold. Use boldface to highlight the words or phrases, or color code in different colors, different parts. Tell yourself what's important, right? And you might even go so far as to act out some emotions at some times during the presentation. And so prepare yourself for that. The problems I've seen are that those things can go off the guardrails because people get too into these side stories and don't focus on the task. So this practice makes sure that you don't spend all of your time going on to a tangent. We want to number the pages, and we want to be able to, if something happens, we want them to be there for us. The notes that I have, that I talk from, are always typed and they're always on paper. And so even if I have a PowerPoint presentation, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to have paper notes that I will take in front of the room, because I've had times when the presentation failed and it's just me there. And so that's your backup, is having the on actual paper. So the other things to talk about are the fact that there are impromptu speeches out there, and we're going to talk about impromptu speeches at the end of the semester especially. But you are kind of hitting blind. So when it comes to impromptu speeches, it means that you're being asked to speak without any preparation, or with super minimal preparation. And so there are some points, there's some ways to attack those that we'll be able to get to. But that's just another style that we have to think about, because there are times when we're asked to give a presentation on the fly. And to do that, it requires a different type of preparation. But for this extemporaneous style speaking that we do in our class, you have the best of both worlds, because you are going to be able to come across as natural, and you're going to be able to deliver a message just the way that you intended it to be. And so I want you to know that for extemporaneous style speaking, it means that you have to practice, and practice a lot. We start out with we start out with a full sentence outline of the presentation, and we practice talking through that over and over again, to the point where we're so familiar that it becomes and feels natural, so that we can drop off some of those words. And the more that we practice over time, we can drop off more and more words, so that you end up not having a long outline with sentences. You only have keywords to serve as reminders. So that's the grand tour of public speaking. And how it's going to work through the art of extemporaneous style.